Welcome to the Ave Podcast, where I'm joined by my South Shiraya family members and annual State of the Raptor writers, Mr. Julian, aka Jules the Commish, as well as the founder of Red Rush Ontario's basketball program, CEO of Team Lightskin, and he's also simultaneously planning the Team Lightskin Summer Tour and the family reunion. Please welcome Randall Walter to the show.
Yes,
how you doing today, sir?
We back at it.
I'm back with the intros.
You got the best ones in the game, brother.
Thank you. And to commemorate Wu-Tang's final tour, I'm using my inner ghost face. That's why you see me in a robe right now. I'm in my inner ghost face killer right now. So just stay with me. But yeah, we're recording this on the night that the Raptors refused to tank properly and beat the Utah Jazz in Toronto with the old school Raptors uniforms. So I don't know what the hell's going on, but this has been a surprisingly funny season. I would say the best way to describe it, because Raptors are used to trying to at least make the playoffs. They have the best opportunity to tank, and it's like we don't want to do it properly. So we're coming across victories. You know, we're snatching victories out of the jaws of defeat. Basically, is what's happening here. Just to get started, how do you guys feel about rooting for tanking? Like, is this something new for the Raptors organization and for Raptors fans to be rooting for tanking?
It's definitely newer. Like, outside of last season was a lost season as well, but we didn't have a pick, right? So we didn't have to really tank. But this is definitely new for me in the last 10 years at least, right? Because I've always wanted to get into playoffs no matter what. But this year, man, like with all the injuries we had in the early going, the first half of the season, we were just losing games anyhow. Yeah. So for me, this second half, I just wanted to see it continue. And man, we're winning games, and it's a good sign that we have like a good foundation of a team or core for next year. But I don't want to see this right now. I don't want to see this sign right now. I want to continue to lose, and we're almost there, right? Just to get a high pick. So, because we don't have a pick for the following year, right? So we need to cash in on this pick and make it count with the Ingram trade. So I'm rooting to lose every game. But we ain't doing it right.
No, we're not doing it right. Yeah, I mean, like C said, earlier, this is we had a separate conversation about the Raptors many times, and I think on one of our former pods we were complaining. I think one of our first pods we were complaining about what Masai was doing, right? We all wanted the tank. Remember, right before the Bargnani, we were all in tank mode. And if you guys saw that documentary that just came out, it kind of unveils the curtain of what went on during that time when we all were like, what's going on? Like, Masai tried to tank, traded away, Bargnani, traded away. Then he got Rudy Gay, got rid of Rudy Gay. We thought we were going on the downslide, and these guys it was kind of negative equaled, positive, right? And these guys turned up the notch and made it to the playoffs and lost to Brooklyn. And then We the North was created, right? So we've never had a chance to really press the reset button. And I honestly think that every time Masai tries to press the reset button, the team refuses to go down in flames, right? And we're witnessing that right now, right? We're witnessing a team that, it's a young coach who's getting, young as an experience, right? As a head coach, is getting the buy-in from his players. He's a players coach. A lot of there's a young talented group that are playing hard together. At first I was a little upset, but I'm not mad at it. I'm not, as long as we finish in the, this is a strong draft. As long as we can finish in the top, the bottom 6, I think we're fine. We can't make the play-in, right? All y'all want to tank for hold up that flag. I'm not waving that flag to call y'all, but you know what I mean? Like, I think the flag is out. Is who knows if he's staying or not? But
and you know what? Like, you don't, as you said, like, we don't have to tank to the complete bottom because it's not even guaranteed, right? Nothing's guaranteed with the lottery. So we just have to give ourselves a shot, basically, right? Even if there's not as many balls as you want, that's all you need, right? So I just want to give us a shot. And
he may back, and Flagg may go back to college anyway. What I'm hearing, so
that's what they say. They would have to dump a truckload of money for him to do that, which they might do. But
you know what though? It's actually interesting though, because there is going to be a time where that's going to happen, and it's going to be based on who's in the lottery, who has the higher picks. You know what I mean? If it's a place where you don't want to go, like if it's say it's LeBron James and the number one pick is Utah, he might stay in college. You know what I mean? Just based on the market, right? Now Cooper Flagg and Utah seems like the perfect marriage, right? Yeah, but we don't know how he feels. Maybe he wants to be in a bigger market. You know, we're just assuming that because he went to Maine or he lived in Maine, he's from Maine. We're just assuming that he's going to want to go to Utah if Utah gets the number one pick, but he may not want to go there. Maybe he hates Utah. So but I'm like, but because of the whole NIL landscape now, you can afford to go back in college for a second year and make some money. like think of the number one pick or the projected number one pick in next year's draft. I can never pronounce his last name. AJ.
Oh yeah.
You guys know what I'm talking about. But I mean, he's getting like $8 million just to play next year. What is that money going to be if he decides? Can you imagine if Cooper Flagg stays for another year? And that'll actually be good for his development, to be honest with you. And he's still going to be like 20.
Yeah, and I mean, he got the Boozer brothers coming on, so you're playing with almost like a all rookie team already, right? So,
but what is the rookie pay scale? What is the amount of money that the first overall pick gets?
I'm going to check right now.
If it's more than $9 million, then, or if it's equal to, then you could stay another year, I guess. But then you want to start that rookie scale early too in your career. You want to get to that, you know what I'm saying, to that NBA money early.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting though is, I mean, I actually find it cool. Sorry, I actually find it cool that you're able to tank. You know what I mean? And not just to tank, but to be actual like a fan of tanking. Because I've been living in Toronto pretty much the whole time that the Raptors have been in existence. You never really rooted for tanking. I mean, you're either really bad and you didn't have a choice, or when you're really bad, it wasn't the draft that you really wanted to be in, or the team was just good, right? The times you wanted to be in that draft, the team was nice, So other than 2003, I mean, they weren't good that year, but I think we got the 4th or 5th pick, or should we drafted Chris Bosh? I think it was the 4th overall pick, right? So it's not often you get to be put in a position where the draft is good. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's, I'm like, staying in the top 4 would be the thing to be in. But I'm like, what could we do at this situation now to help with the Raptors tank? Like, I'm thinking one of us, I'll even solicit myself. If you want to sign me to a 2 10-day contracts, I'll do it right now. Look, I can't play no defense. You leave me outside, I might make 20% from 3 if you leave me wide open. I cannot guard anybody. I will fake an injury if I have to. I'll cause an injury if I have to. But if we can get that number, 1 to 3 pick, listen, as long as the salary is paid on the 1st and 15th, I'll do it.
Listen. They are trying to do something very similar to that right now by bringing up all the 905ers right now. Like tonight's game against Utah, I was telling you guys earlier, like 4 out of the 5 players on the court, I did not know who they were.
No,
I did not know who they were.
Computer simulated players.
What's that?
It was like computer simulated players.
Basically. Yeah. And we were still winning. Like, because I don't know what we got to do, but we got to start resting players. The reason why we were losing a lot of games in the first half of the season, because we had injuries, right? Like Quickly hardly played. Purtle was out. Barnes I think what he did with his wrist, like he was out. So it was always at some point during the season, 2 of our starters were out.
Oh, Barrett.
What's that? Who?
Barrett.
Yeah, right. But now everybody's healthy, right? Everybody's healthy now. So it's like I always believed we had a good core to build around, not to win a championship, like to build around. And it's kind of showing. Like we went into Orlando and won back-to-back games, like in Orlando. And Orlando is an up-and-coming team that, who's looking to push in the Eastern Conference. And we won both games on the road. Man, I was living.
I think we won the matchup too before that. I think we had Orlando's number. No matchup well versus them.
We do. I was just more so using it as an example. Like we're just winning games, man. And Orlando's fighting to win, and that's a team that's trying to win. Not like Utah today. Like they're trying to lose. Utah's trying to lose. Orlando's trying to win, and we're winning. So it's a blessing and a curse.
How pissed was management at Jacoby Walter last week for hitting that 3 against Orlando?
Hey, it's not just Jacoby Walter. It was even happened the night before, didn't it? Where against Orlando.
Well, I'm talking about the Orlando game.
Before the back-to-back, the one before they almost lost, and
they beat them too.
They missed a layup.
Warner scored he missed the open layup at the buzzer.
Yeah. Oh, what's his name? The brother. But like the Walter hit that 3. Oh man, I was like, yo, what can we do? And they pulled the starters, right? They pulled everybody off the floor.
Yeah, they
did.
It created on social media.
Scotty Barnes missed most of the fourth quarter and he wasn't hurt.
They drew all 5 off the floor at the same time and put in 5 from the bench, and we still won. Walter hit the game-winning 3. Like the players don't care, right? They're playing to for next year, basically, right? The players are trying to earn contracts, so they're going all out. But these players that are playing are now winning and hitting big shots. They're not supposed to. It's just like bad timing. It's just bad timing. Yeah.
And they might make the play-in.
Yeah, they might at this pace, because the East is bad too, right?
Yes,
all those teams are bad. We're winning games because the other teams are bad too.
And they have a stretch coming up, guys. It's all winnable games.
Yes.
Regardless even if they sit their starters.
Man,
I'm going to hop on your point, Randall. They have the easiest remaining schedule in the NBA.
Yeah.
Which is like good. We're trying to no limit tank right now. Like this ain't it. This ain't it right now. This ain't.
I don't know what they're going to do.
No, like it's a tough thing, man. Because like I said, you're trying to lock down this. You got to get to one of these 4, and I think the Raptors are I think they're last I checked they were in 12th or 13th place in the East. But now after tonight, I don't know. It might change. But they're 13th in the East right now, which is normally that would be a great spot. Just Washington, and I don't know who the other team is, but that would be great. But they keep winning. Like this is not the position you want to be in right now. I'm just checking right now. They are the other 2 teams. Oh, Charlotte. Always forget about Charlotte. I don't know how you forget about them. Yeah, I mean they're a shitty organization themselves. They can't seem to tank properly themselves either.
No,
they're always getting the wrong pick or somebody who's injured or or somebody that doesn't underachieve. LaMelo Ball, as great as he is, it's a whole other conversation. He's like attracted to losing. But it's crazy. It's crazy to watch this. It's crazy to watch the Raptors be in this position where fans are actually like mad that they're winning games. You know what I mean? But at this, and you know what? For anybody that's mad, any Raptors fan that's mad to see us have this conversation, you guys could all go to hell because some of the greatest franchises in the league have also been like, listen, we're tanking for David Robinson, we're tanking for Tim Duncan, we're tanking for Wemby. You know what I mean? I don't know why I keep throwing San Antonio in there, but you know my point. Like, some of the greatest teams have tanked. You know what I mean? And made out like bandits because of it.
I think most Raptor fans
for the right person one time.
I think most Raptor fans understand what we're trying to do, and they are okay with it. I don't think anybody. I would hope not. If you're a Raptor fan and you understand the current landscape of what position we're in terms of having the ability to draft a top 5 pick going into next year. I think they all understand what we're trying to do, especially at this junction of the season. They understand.
Right.
The season is a lost season. So Yeah, there's no need to explain it to them.
Okay, I was going to say, how do you guys feel about Brandon Ingram, even becoming a Raptor now that we're a month out from the trade? How do you guys feel about him being a Raptor, even though he hasn't officially donned the uniform yet?
Oh man, I love Brandon Ingram, and that's a versatile forward, right? He fits all the, you know, the criteria, the skill sets, the ability that we're looking for. We're looking for, that type of scorer and a difference maker. Someone we give the ball to in crunch time to get a bucket. Now, I do understand the criticism that surrounds him, his age. He doesn't really fit the timeline 100%. I also understand that, we may be overpaying him. I understand that he's injury prone, but I do think he's a difference maker. And I think that I don't think we're going to be in this rebuild mode much longer. And I think by next year, we're going to have a team that's going to be competing. So he fits what we need, right? The key is, can he stay healthy, right? That's the key aspect. And I do think that in a market like Toronto, we can unlock some of his. I mean, we've seen, like, I remember, Calvin, we were talking about it when his All-Star year, because I know you had him for fantasy, I think, because I think I dropped him and you picked him up or traded for him. And I remember being like, damn, just should have been patient with him, right? And he's just that type of player, right? He can really affect the game, right? And he has a lot of, like, that versatility with his length. Again, scoring ability, ball handling. He's never been known as a defender, but I think with this team, he can really step it up a bit, right? Really help on the defensive end as well. And again, we're a transition team, and that's his game.
Yeah, as Randall said, I'm grown to more accept the trade than initially. Initially, I wasn't a huge fan of the trade. I just didn't think it was a good fit.
Right.
At the time, I didn't think it was a good fit. I just thought like him and Barnes were, similar type of not games, but similar positions on the floor. Like I guess I'm assuming now Barnes is going to be our power forward, right? Barnes would be the power forward. Ingram would be the small forward, right? Are we going to assume that?
Yeah.
Right. And I just thought that both similar height, similar needs the ball. Like Barnes wants the ball in his hands too, right? But Barnes isn't the scorer as Ingram, right? He's not the scorer as Ingram. He's more of a shutdown defender. So they do have that different style in terms of the defensive end. But I didn't like his durability. Ingram, he's injury prone. I just didn't. To me, when I see his body language, I don't know. I'm not gonna be stereotypical, but it just seems like he's always like just not into the game. Like if he's not saying he's high or anything like that, but it just seems like from watching him in New Orleans, it just seems like he wasn't like he's not a gamer like compared to Barnes, who's really.
It seems like he likes to listen to Redman and Method Man a lot.
100%, and I heard those rumors too. Like he's gonna, I heard those rumors too. He's gonna be living in the dispensaries and all that shit. I heard that. I don't know, but but I have grown to look at the lineup, the potential of a future lineup, and I do like it now. But initially, I wasn't happy. But I think if we put him in a small forward and put Barnes at the power forward, have Pirtle come back, it makes Barrett expendable, the shooting guard, because we don't need three scorers on the team. I don't think. I think we need another person that can shoot from the outside, and I think we might need another big man in terms of bringing in for a 5 and maybe trading Pirtle. So it does bringing in assets is never a bad thing. Like Ingram's an asset, so at the end of the day, I started to realize like it's going to be hard for us to sign free agents. And we got to make these type of trades and these bold type of moves to obtain assets. So in the end, I do like it. I didn't like the money initially and all that, but he wants to be here too, right?
Right.
That's always a great feeling to know that you're bringing in a player that wants to be here too. So
that wants to be here, yeah, for sure.
I like it. I like it in the end. In the end, I like it. But initially, I did not like it.
So you're also saying that even though he's a younger guy, he likes Dr. Dre's first album.
Yeah, the Chronic. Yeah, he likes it, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
He does. That's from my reading, obviously, and understanding as well. So we'll see.
Your research?
From my research.
Did you bump into him in one of those spots in Toronto?
No, not as yet. Not as yet.
Is that what the analytics said?
Is that what the analytics said? Every second Friday on payday?
Projections of where he will be stat-wise and in the city-wise. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes, man. Right? He's happy to be here. This was one of his favorite cities, apparently, too, prior to coming here. So
yep.
Right. Like a lot of NBA players, as we know. Like a lot of NBA players.
So we'll see. We'll see.
It's interesting though, because we understand that obviously we've had this conversation many times about the Raptors getting free agents and stuff in the traditional way. It's really hard for them to do, whether they're terrible or they're winning a championship. It's like we can't get those free agents to come here as much as they love the city and everything else in between. It's, so you have to make these kind of trades. So I get all of that. I'm still don't know quite how to feel about Brandon Ingram. I think he's a talent though, and I find like the move was almost like, okay, how much 6'8" to 6'9" guys do we need that kind of play a little similar to each other? Because we're forgetting about Grady. Pause. You know what I'm saying? We're forgetting about him too. Like there's so many guys that kind of, are they gonna all be able to play together in the way that we would like? Are they gonna get in each other's way? Because you know what I mean? Like it's like I understand Scotty Barnes he's not a pure scorer. Brandon Ingram's definitely a pure scorer. Brandon Ingram will definitely be able to finish games, just like how he was kind of doing in New Orleans. But they kind of occupy similar spaces on the floor. You know what I mean? So does RJ. So that's the part. It's like you got to accumulate talent especially when the Raptors in the position that they're in. To your point, not to repeat the facts of like the health and everything else, but then $40 million, you know what I mean, for 3 years, which at this stage is pretty much the standing rate for it will be, if it's not already, it will be in a few years, the standing rate for a starter in the league, which is around 40 mil. But you're also paying RJ 27 to 30 mil. You're paying, quickly 32 mil. You're paying Scotty 44 mil. You know what I mean? And none of them solve that all NBA level type of player that you want in order to win a championship. You know what I mean? So he's our closer, and at worst he'll be number 2 behind Scotty at worst, which but and I don't want to sound like I'm complaining because I like him. You know what I mean? I do like his game, but it's a lot of repetitiveness in terms of the talent. That's where my concern is.
And so with that said, that's why I assume there's more pieces of the puzzle that's supposed to, fit in eventually, that they're going to have to acquire more pieces, make more trades. That's why Barrett might be, I'm reading that he might be the next player out. Pirtle might be out, so to make it more of a balance, because you're right. It doesn't mesh well right now. Right. I don't think it does. And I think there's, depending on the draft pick, whatever position, whatever pick that they get, I think that's going to determine who gets moved out, right? And who comes back in, depending on the pick. So I think there's more pieces. I think there's more trades and there's more adjustments that are going to be made in the offseason. So that's why I'm not. It's hard. As fans, we always look at it like now. Like why are they bringing in Ingram now and all this stuff? But it's a long-term game. So it's a long game, and you just gotta, as fans, we just gotta wait it out to see what the overall vision is and what the plan is, because we don't know what the plan is, right? Because Ingram is almost very similar to Barrett. I mean, not to Barrett, to Barnes. Very similar in height, not offensively, but like in terms of what they can do on the floor. But I think there's more to it that we just don't know.
I don't think so at all. I don't think their games are similar at all. Outside of their size and the fact that they can play multiple positions, I don't think they have the same type of game at all.
Okay, all right. I would admit Ingram is more of a scorer, right?
Yeah,
but Barnes can hit the three.
I'm not saying they have a similar game. I'm saying they occupy the same space on the floor.
So
yeah, they occupy it. they occupy the same space on the floor, but I think one is more of a playmaker who can score, but that's not his forte, right? He affects the game in different ways. Like Scotty can score, 14 points and help you win. Well, Brandon can score 14 points and make you lose, right? Mm-hmm. It's right. How you affect the game. Like they may occupy the same space on the floor, but Scotty can occupy different things. Look, we all don't.
I disagree. I think Ingram can bring up the ball. He's an assist man. Like you look at his stats, he's almost across the board, like a stat type of guy. He can grab like 6 boards, 6 assists. He can do it. He's not as great defensively compared to Barrett. Barrett. That's where I would say like it's not even close. Completely different game. But when it comes to offense and what they can do from outside and inside, their styles may be different in how they play, but at the end, the same outcome in terms of stats and what they can do, results are very similar, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So, but that and that's another thing that is, as fans, I don't know how this meshes well. Like how this blends, how does it fit well to the grand scheme of things and to the starting 5, and we won't know that fully until we see them together playing.
I think there's a component though that. We tend to think about offense a lot. I think there's a component of defense that is an intangible that, I think the Raptors are trying to hone in on and structure the team around defending, right? Transition, right? Positionless basketball. We don't see it much, but if you go overseas, you see it a lot, right? And I think that trend, overseas is always kind of ahead. And then it kind of trickles down to the NBA. I was just watching an interview with Jose Calderon. He was talking about that, when he first came in the league, it was all one-on-one ISO. Now the game has kind of become more European with the influence of more European talent coming in, right? But anyway, I want to go back to a point about what you said earlier, Jules, about the construction of the team, though, and kind of direction they're going to go. I do agree that, there's a lot of pieces and assets we have that are movable, right? And I do agree that there's a lot of pieces that occupy similar regimes and spaces on the court. Like RJ, to me, is more similar in regards to what he can do as Ingram, right? So that's more of the issue I have, right? Is not like, and I like RJ, and in an ideal world, I'd love to keep him, but how does he fit, right? Mm-hmm. And that's where I think, having him play at the level he's playing at and to keep playing at that level is good, because I think we can really parlay into like I was hearing a big rumor, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's interesting. Everyone thinks Morant is out of Memphis.
Really? I never heard that. Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's a rumor going around that, that the Memphis is kind of not sure if he's going to be the guy for the future, and they may want to get rid of him. If that's the case, I don't think the quickly experiment, and yeah, candidly, it's 1 year, but if you can parlay something with Quickly and RJ, would you guys jump on that?
Oh, for Ja?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't think they would jump on it. It'll take a lot more. From Memphis, but yeah, I would definitely do that for sure. Oh my goodness, look at that. Ja, Barnes, Ingram, first round pick this year, whoever that is. I would definitely do that, but I don't see it happening.
No,
yeah, I don't see T Morant coming to Queens Key Lakeshore. That's not happening either.
Or maybe not even getting across the border.
That too.
Yeah, too.
That too. More entourage than them. More entourage than them. But I'm like, going back to Ingram for a second though. Like I feel like, I know we're talking about how his eyes look. You know what I mean? I kind of look at like, he just has this look of, I hate to stereotype a guy. You know what I mean? I don't want to do that, but he has that moody kind of like persona. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Kind of like, yeah. And it's like, even in New Orleans, it was like, it was kind of a thing. You know what I mean? So it's funny because when Trae Young started hooping, it was not Trae Young, Trey Murphy started hooping. It was like, oh yeah, Ingram's gone for sure.
Right.
He's 1,000% gone. Like they're not even trying to keep, like, you knew as soon as he was hooping, I was like, oh yeah, he's out of there.
But
You know what I mean?
but let's be real though. Like even if he is hooping, Murphy. But even if Ingram was like performing off the court, like was amazing leader, it would have been difficult to let him go like this because we only gave up like Olenek and whatever Brown, right? But my point is that it just shows you that they were willing to give up on. One thing I've learned, and like I talk you guys about my brother when players are traded, there is a reason why they're being or let go.
100%.
And we just don't know behind the scenes, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's not always fit. It's not always fit on the court.
No, it's not always fit. It's like the way you carry yourself, the way you were bringing down other teammates, the way you are in the locker room. It's all these other things, not just on the court. So it just whenever I see a player traded, I'm always curious of like I'm wondering how they are off the court.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because sometimes on the court we can see the stats. We know Ingram can hoop, right?
Right.
And we do know about Murphy coming in, taking it like he looks like he's replacing him. So don't get me wrong, he was expendable in that way. But if he was really that leader, that player that everybody loved, then
they wouldn't get rid of him.
They wouldn't be giving him up like that. There's no way. They would try to make it fit around the two. At least. It's like almost like Jaylen Brown and Tatum, right? Like Tatum comes in after Jaylen Brown, kind of similar type of game. You're not going to give up Jaylen Brown like he's so fast, right?
Mm-hmm.
Until they kept it in the seat and it worked. But they just let Ingram go. So it lets you know they saw something that they weren't happy with.
But the point I'm trying to make too though is, sorry not to cut you, Randall, but the point I'm trying to make too is like, to your point, the fact that he kind of has that persona about him. My thing is, okay, we know he's not gonna lead you to a championship most likely, right? Mm-hmm. Or unless a switch gets flipped and he's 2 levels better than he was when he's ever been in his career, which can happen, but it's highly unlikely. You know what I mean? I'm like, does he seem like the kind of player that is going to toss the keys to a superstar, or like say like a Cooper Flagg and be like, okay, I'm cool with you being the number 1 guy? Now, mind you, no professional athlete, no NBA player for that is willing to give the keys to somebody else. But I feel like you'll probably have to trade him in order for that player to flourish if that was to happen.
Yeah, I think so too. I feel that there wasn't a huge market for him too as well, right?
No, there wasn't.
Right.
It was almost non-existent.
Right. Teams do their homework. I'm telling you, teams do their homework. They have players on their own teams contact. They tell them, go contact so-and-so. So-and-so on New Orleans, find out more info. You find out information, like on the player off the court. And teams weren't new. Nobody was really willing to give him a long-term deal.
Right.
Right? Nobody was really willing to. Like, we got him for cheap. We really did get him, like, in terms of the players that went out. Now, mind you, he was an expiring contract. We had to re-sign him. Yeah. But we did re-sign him. I was happy it was only 3 years. Right? Because it's not a long-term. If we lose out on the deal, like he doesn't perform or has some off-the-court issues, or we learn more about the way he carries himself, then we can get rid of him after 2 years, right? 3 years. But there's a reason for that. He wasn't sought after or wasn't given a long-term contract. And there's a reason why he signed a 3-year deal, right? He probably wanted more. I don't know how the collective bargaining agreement is, what's going on, but most players will want more than 3 years.
And then you mentioned, and then don't forget 2023 World Cup. Remember how that ended?
How did that end again? With Ingram?
With Ingram, yeah. Remember he didn't. He was on that team, right?
I can't remember. I don't remember.
I can't remember.
I think he was on that team, and I don't think he finished. I don't think he when they made it to they never said what happened, but
he got let go. Like he got sent home or something.
I don't know if he got sent home, but he didn't play the last game, and it wasn't because he was hurt. Which you thought was kind of interesting. You know what I mean?
Listen,
which feeds in that fire for what I'm trying to say.
Listen, you've been traded,
and I like him.
Been traded out of New Orleans. He's been traded twice. That's another thing you got to look at. When a player is traded multiple times, right? Yeah, a talented player is traded multiple times. There's a reason why he's been traded. LA traded him out. Now, mind you, was he part of the AD deal? Don't get me wrong. So I get it. He still was traded, man.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see how it meshes, and players mature, right? Players grow up. I'm not saying he has any any issues off the court like that. I don't know anything, but let's hope that if he did, he sees the light, right? Grows up. This is right.
Sorry, Randall, jump in there.
No, I think Julian kind of touched on the point I was going to say. Right? It's really at the end of the day, you know, what it comes down to is why did he sign that 3-year deal? Right? So the market for him, everything you said, I'm in agreement with. Right? Like, regardless, he's here. I think he's I'm happy. Right? I think we had our own chat group where we were, you know, when you guys were like, "Oh man, it happened." I was like, "Yeah," because right now when you look at what is sure shot to help us get to the next level, that's the best I think we can do right now.
Yeah, right? I agree.
Is it the final piece? No. Do we have to pay a little bit more, or maybe we got a deal? I don't think we got so much a deal in regards to what we're paying him. I think we got a deal in regards to the length of it. And I'm not mad at it, right? And again, it fits the timeline. He is a little bit older than the rest of them. You know, I don't know. I think he's in his early 30s. You know, by time he's done with the Raptors, I don't think he's going to get an extension. I'm fine with that. You know, again, my concern with him is like the character stuff I wasn't really aware of. So, you know,
well, I don't know if there is any. I don't know.
Yeah, same thing. I'm not saying it is, but it just seems that way. He has a bit of an aura there when it comes to that. I'm not saying,
I never heard anything about that, but the one thing that I am skeptical about is him. He's injury prone.
Yeah, man.
He's always injured. Even when he was in LA, he was injured. He was always injured. And I think, right, when it came down to the brass knuckles of things, New Orleans was like, we don't want to extend this guy.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
Right? It could be various reasons, but I think the major reason is the fact he's always injured, right? I did hear something that he wasn't happy with maybe his role there as well. Not that or it was that or the circumstances of what was going on in New Orleans, because there was a point that he was kind of carrying the team when everybody was Zion never played, and he kind of was like, come on, man, like I'm tired of this, right? So
I could see that being possibly true, but
I heard that. I'm not sure.
He's hurt himself countless a number of times. So.
Yeah.
Right. And they do have decent pieces around them, right? They had CJ McCollum. They just added what's his name from Atlanta?
DeJounte Murray before he tore his Achilles.
Zion, right? They had like a good team on paper.
Team.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah,
very much so.
So, you know, we'll see. We'll see how this goes at the end of the day. It's only 3 years, and I understand as an organization, this is how we got to bring in players, right? This is what we did with Quickly. This is what we did with Barrett. We bringing in Ingram, but we have to trade for these and roll the dice on these guys because we're not going to get them from UFAs, and we're only going to get them through draft picks, right? And if we're always in the middle of the pack, our draft pick is never going to really be a lottery, so it's hard to build. So you got to trade it, bring in assets, and then keep trading these assets away for future first round picks. You got to bring in assets to trade. So I get it. I fully get it. So this is the thing too. New Orleans could have re-signed Ingram, keep him and trade him away in the 2 years. You got to, so to get more of a assets back. But they say, just give us a late first round and Bruce Brown and Kelly, all of it, right? So.
Is this still Masai We Trust?
For me it is, right? For me it is because I don't expect a GM to be batting 1,000 on every trade on every draft pick, right? So when he makes errors, I know this fan, like even our track group, AP, certain people, get this guy, he's wrong, right? But that's when you want a GM to be perfect. So he made some poor decisions, and we always can play the hindsight and say, I knew this and I knew that. Yeah. So personally, for me, his track record is good enough for me to have trust in him still, right? He's done so much. I know that's in the past. We want to know, what have you done for me lately? But I think I did like the OG. I didn't want to resign OG. I didn't want to really resign Siakam. We did lose Fred VanVleet for nothing. I thought that, well, we couldn't really match the offer, but we should never have waited to get to that point,
right,
with Siakam and all that. So like I get where we could have done things better, or whatever, or Masai. But that all being said, I still have trust in him when he's making a decision, when he's making a trade for like Ingram. I do have trust that he knows what he's doing, or Webster, or his name, Bobby Webster. I do have trust in that brass. So for me, I still have trust in him. It's waning though. It's getting a little thin, but I'm still there with him.
Yeah, I guess the question I have also is, who else is out there with the qualifications he has that's going to come in and do a better job, right? That's someone on the street that's going to come in. If the Raptors get rid of him, I just see Bobby Webster stepping up, right? I don't see them, that's my impression, right? I don't have a problem with Masai, right? The problem I always had with Masai, I think he makes, even when he makes mistakes, he always finds a way to correct them, right?
Yeah.
Or mitigate them, I should say. But the one thing I do have a problem with is when we had the championship core, and they were all kind of, one by one picking off. I think he could have dealt with them a little bit better. I think there's some nostalgia there. He's holding on to them. I don't know why he waited so long, like you said, Julian, with some of those moves. Even Boucher should have been out of here, and we could got something for him.
Yeah.
Like you're not even utilizing him. So what's the point of having him stick around, sit on the bench when other teams were interested? Even if it was a second round pick, get rid of him, right?
Maybe he's following the script of the CRTC. How you have to have one Canadian on your squad. You got to play one Canadian hip hop song or one Canadian song every 30 minutes.
You know what? I'll tell you something. They just picked up AJ Lawson.
I'm going to say that to mention him.
It's a sneaky good pickup. I think he's a good young piece that could be serviceable in the future with this core, right? I mean, but Boucher, I mean, I don't know. Again, I think we could have got something for him. There was interest for him. Mind you, you never know what's going on behind the scenes, right? We don't know what.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm sure they tried to.
Yeah, you guys know. You guys hear. I mean, I've heard it through even inside sources, right? And apparently he could be a dick to deal with, right?
Who, Masai?
Yeah, to the point you're like, come on, Masai. I'm playing chess and you're playing checkers. You know what I mean? But
he also he's also known to win a lot of trades, right? So I can see teams being
recently,
hesitant. Pardon me?
Recently, I mean, not including.
No, but historically, he's known to win deals. Like even back in Denver days, he's been known to make winnable deals for the organization. I'm just saying that in terms of Randall's point, that where teams may be hesitant or may find him to be difficult to deal with or afraid to deal with because they are feeling that they're going to lose out on the deal. I'm just saying that could be it too, right?
Well, the big criticism that I have in the last few years, I would say after the bubble, the big thing that I see that that I'm just like, what are you doing is, his roster management, right? I feel like he hasn't really since the bubble built a sufficiently deep team, right? He was known for that, right? And I think that at the points that he brought Poto back, and I think that we all like those moves. I think the roster was set to make a push, but I don't think it was a balanced roster, right? To compete consistently, and I think that's the problem I've seen, year after year after that. Now, the one thing that I think he's done well in general overall, I'm not saying he always hits the mark, right? But I think he's always managed to either draft a piece that people are like, I really didn't think about him, and he ends up being a serviceable piece. And I think those serviceable pieces get some playing time in these situations, and if we can keep them all together, then you're building the core, right? You're building that bench strength. Like he did that with, that whole young unit of Pascal, Freddie, all those Boucher, all those Powell, Norm Powell. So all those guys, right? They won that G League title. All those guys grew up together. Podol was one too. They all grew up together, and basically at one point was the second unit. Right.
And it was a great second unit too.
Great second unit, right? And they grew to be, look at them all now, right? They're all kind of stars in their own rights, or not all stars, but serviceable, better than serviceable players.
Yeah. You can throw OG in there too. You can throw OG in there too as well.
OG. Well, yeah, again, there you go, right? So
player, yeah.
So you look at all these pieces and that we have now. I gotta say that I like this team. There's been the last 3 years have been hard to watch, maybe 2 years, right? Like, and I mean, Jules, you even joked to me and said you don't even watch the games anymore, right? You're like, you don't even know what you're talking about. Half of it's true, half of it's not, but I kind of watched the first quarter and turned it off because I was probably threw the remote at a couple TVs.
Way to accept responsibility, Randall.
So I think part of it too was Nurse. Was never a fan of him.
Yeah. Big part of it was Nurse too. Like he wasn't playing any of the young guns. He wasn't really developing players, right?
Correct. Right, and that's what we were known for at one point, right? So we're getting back to that. And I think we're getting back to this whole. I don't think Darko is a championship level coach, but I think he's a good coach for what we need right now.
Yeah, he's a rookie coach.
He's good at developing. He's good at getting buy-in. He's building up the confidence of these young players. We talked about a few times the name Walter was mentioned. I think that's a great piece. I love Shed.
That's a good pick.
Yeah, I think it's a great pick. I think there's some bigs that are coming up, and I can't even pronounce his name. He got injured, but there's a lot of good pieces from the draft that came in, and I think will be good in the future. So,
I'm always going to be biased to Masai because I'm very partial to him just because of the way he kind of him and Tim Leiweke back in 2012, 2013 reset the culture of the team, or 2013, I should say. So I'm always going to be partial to that because it ended up those moves and those steps and those habits ended up in the championship. Like you can never forget that. You know what I mean? So, and the fact that he's still here because of that is why I'll always remain somewhat biased to him. But I got to say the last few years have been a little shaky. You know what I mean? It's been a little shaky to say the least. You know what I mean? To your guys' point, holding on to players too long. And, we've hashed that even in past State of the Raptors Address pods episodes or whatever, right? Yeah. But my thing is now you got to pay, as I mentioned before, you got to pay Barnes, IQ, RJ, BI.
IQ just got paid.
No, I know, but I'm just saying those contracts add up. You know what I mean? And the core of that is it's quite hefty for a team that's in 13th place in the East. You know what I mean? And I know the future's ahead of itself, because this is not the ceiling that they're reaching right now with this new squad. But I look at that Scotty pick and I'm kind of like, man, that's a lot of money. I like him. I like him. No, I don't want to.
What are you watching any games?
I am.
I'm gonna start asking you.
I hear what I'm saying. I like him a lot. I'm just saying when you add up all those salaries,
it's a lot of money.
It's a little hefty when you're not seeing a superstar level type of talent in front of there. You know what I mean? And I know the whole situation. I have to point that out.
I would rather pay them than Siakam and OG and Fred VanVleet.
Yes, because they're older. Of course, I would too.
Right.
I would too.
But I hear what you're saying. It's a lot of money, but the ceiling is much higher. They're younger. They can grow together. They're not worth the money right now, obviously, but we had to pay them because we traded for them, and we had to pay to keep the core together, right? And the core that he believes in. So I'm not mad at it. At the end of the day, they're also, again, tradable pieces. I've said this over and over. When you have when you overpay, when we have to overpay players. Come on, we understand that we have to overpay. And I'm okay with overpaying a player and knowing that there's a potential we can ship him out later on, right? And it's always a buy, always. I'd rather do that than having Fred VanVleet walk and not get nothing back for me. I've always said that. We are in a position of being in Canada where players, American players, don't want to come up or move to a different country. We got to do that. We got to overpay.
Yeah, I know for sure.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it. We're not your typical NBA team, man. We got to do it. We have to.
It is what it is. You know what it is with Scotty though, and I've been saying for the last while. It's kind of like the DeMar DeRozan thing, where it's like that's kind of ceiling to me. Where it's like I like them. They work hard. They get better every year. You know what I mean? But will it just be a thing where he has a ceiling, and then the ceiling is just making some noise in the playoffs eventually? You know what I mean? And that's the end of it. Like, are we hoisting the Larry O'Brien? With Scotty being that guy, you know what I mean? It's like it's a question I always ask almost every year, at least the last couple of years. But it's like it has that DeMar DeRozan feeling. And having DeMar DeRozan's career, not knocking it. Look at Julian rolling his neck.
Yeah,
it's great. Like I like him. I always like having DeMar DeRozan on the team. Not when he started, because when he just got drafted, I remember I was one of the ones knocking him. But I was always saying, like, you can't knock him because they're so young, and you got to let them build, right? So you got to let the story play out with Scotty. But I'm like, but right now it has the scent, the aroma of like of the Rosen career, which is fine, but it's not leading with a ring. We've seen the story before.
To me, it doesn't. As a Raptor fan, it doesn't. But I hear what you're saying because we're losing, right? We're losing now, and DeMar.
And again, I want to stress, I like Scotty Barnes.
Yeah, I know. But you also like DeMar too. After a while, like after a couple of years, because you saw him progressing.
I still like him to this day.
So and I hear you. You like him. We're losing. It has a bit of that smell of DeMar. It's not, because first of all, DeMar's game was very one-dimensional. Just scoring. Wasn't a great defender. He was a tweener. Wasn't a great passer. Wasn't a great
better all-around player now, though.
Right? Yeah, he is 100%. Barnes isn't that. Barnes rebounds. Barnes he can bring the ball. He can find. He can pass. He can play defense. So it's not. He's just not surrounded around with veteran, bound players right now. Right? We're just this point in the franchise. If you bring in great like scorers, shooters, proper players that it can help Barnes out, we will be a better team. He's not the same player as DeMar, but I do get what you're getting at, because we're losing, and Barnes is getting better as a player, and we're still losing, right? Isn't that your point?
And let me stress, like guys like KD and stuff vouch for him, so it's like I'll take all of that into consideration too. I do.
Yeah, thank goodness we never made that KD trade in Brooklyn for Barnes. Honestly, it was like 2 years ago. You remember that? We were thinking about trying to go all in and trading Barnes for KD.
And he wanted to come here, huh, KD?
Yeah, he did. He was willing to.
His favorite team is the Raptors growing up.
Yeah. He said that. In a like a post-game presser kind of thing. So we were all thinking about, should we do it? But long term, I'm glad that we didn't, right? Because now, like, KD's still performing at a high level, but you can see it kind of. You can see that the horizon where his game is about to tail off.
Yeah, the end of the road is starting to come.
Yeah, right. And he's up there in age, right? But
I remember he Achilles, man. That's not.
I know, very true. I forgot about that. Injuries, right? Yeah, injuries. Yeah.
Broken foot, all that stuff. The lower extremity injuries are here. You're 17, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's to be expected, unless you're LeBron. Like, this is the natural process of athletes, right?
Mm-hmm. And as you get older, you're just expected to get more injuries, right? Like with Ingram too. Let's be real; he was young, experiencing all these injuries. As you get older, you don't get more stronger; you get more prone to injuries, right? Look at Embiid. Yeah. So no, Durant's still performing at a high level considering his history. But I'm still happy we didn't make that trade.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think of the emergence of RJ Barrett this season?
I think that, it's kind of a sad situation with him because, he got a bad rap over at in New York, I felt. Yeah, I don't feel like I felt like, you know, the expectations and kind of the emergence of Zion kind of overshadowed him coming into the league, and you know, I don't think he had a bad career over at New York. I think he was decent, but I don't think it was up to the expectation of what New York expected from him. I think him coming over here, he's shown a lot. I think he's really worked on his game, and you could see it, right? He's a dog. He's a great, you know, defender. Still needs to work on his right, but overall, I mean, he's more consistent with scoring. His shots gotten better. You know, obviously, he always came with that aggressiveness. You know, even as a playmaker, like, you know, you've seen this go up. Right? So like there's a lot of aspects, you know, that I'm happy to see, and it's sad because I'd love to see him. He kind of fits this core, but again, with Ingram coming in, I see him developing more as an asset than a future prospect with us, right? You know, and that's, you know, again, it's sad because, you know, he's a Canadian boy. He's homegrown, and he's getting better, right? And we're all rooting for him when he plays. Like, we're all sitting there like, yeah, that's our guy, right? But fact is, I don't see a future with him with the Raptors. I just don't. And if it is, I don't see him. Unfortunately, it's hard to admit this. Maybe being even a championship piece. No,
him being one or not being one. What do you mean?
Being one. I don't know. Now, the one thing that kind of comes in the back of my mind is this: like, you have to remember how the NBA works. Veterans now are kind of siphoning off. We talked about, you know, Bron's basically at the twilight of his career. KD's coming there, so all the legends and greats are kind of tail ending. And, you know, now the, you know, the mid-tier guys are now becoming the face of the NBA. I still think, right, that there's that class with, you know, where that era where on YouTube and Instagram where, you know, these players became viral. Like, and he was one of those type of players, right? You look at him, Scotty, you know, all these guys, they kind of started to, you know, I knew about those guys when they were in high school, right? Give them they were guys in high school. They were guys in somewhat in college. They only spent 1 year in college. Fast forward maybe a couple years, they're going to be the guys now in the league. I just don't know if he's going to grow at the pace Scotty's going to grow, right? And will he ever catch Ingram in that time frame, right?
Yeah, he won't.
So, and yes. So you guys answered the question, right? So he's gonna be shipped out, unfortunately.
Yeah. You know, like on paper, it could still work. He could still play the 2 guard, right? Like, you know, we would want a better shooter at the 2 guard, but he could still fit the starting lineup. Him at 2, 3, Ingram at 3, and Barnes at 4. Could, right? But
you got to improve a shot.
You got to improve that
shot a little bit better.
Yeah.
You know, because remember, Ingram's not really known to be he's more of like a mid-range shooter than he is a slasher than he is a 3-point shooter.
His 3-point shot has improved too as well. He has that part of the game.
But I would look at it like kind of like you see how Kyle was able to improve his shot to stretch the floor. I don't think we have that with IQ.
We don't have that in terms of the shot making ability.
No, I don't think I think he's an inconsistent 3-point shooter. I think RJ's shot.
RJ or IQ? Who?
IQ.
No, IQ can shoot, man. He can shoot.
Okay.
He can shoot. No, he can shoot. No, that's one thing that is.
I think he's a volume shooter. You know,
he is a volume shooter, but he can shoot.
Chuck up a bunch of threes. How efficient is he? I think RJ's more efficient.
He's coming off of injuries too, so that's another thing. I'm not going to be so critical on him because he hasn't had a stretch where he can actually play.
Yeah, this season's been a wash.
Right? He's been playing hurt. Then he gets hurt. Then he comes back, plays. Then he's hurt. He hasn't had a good stretch. But that means that when he is playing, like even look at tonight's stats in terms of how many threes he takes quite a bit of threes, but he hits them at a decent rate, considering he hasn't played all year consistently. So it's hard to assess his pure shooting ability because we haven't had a chance to see him play throughout consistent games. So next year would be a better read. But from what I've seen, he can shoot. No, he can shoot. He can shoot. He's probably one of our better shooters on the team, to be honest with you. Like, there's nobody else other than him and Grady. We have, I think, one of the worst three-point shooters or shots made in the NBA, I believe. Don't quote me. But we don't have any shooters. And IQ is one of our better shooters, sadly. But
yeah, the Raptors currently are 29th in the 3-point shooting.
Right. And that's because he was hurt all year. He probably has half of our. He's probably like top 3 in our 3-point made maybe on our team, and he only played like a quarter of the season. But that back to Barrett, I do agree that it's the fit in terms of if he does stay, he will have to play the 2 guard if he wants to start, and he's going to have to improve his shot. His three ball has improved this year, though. I will give him that. RJ's shooting from the outside. It's funny because his free throws are still kind of like struggling and whatnot, but his 3-point ball, I'm guessing, I don't know the stats, has improved this year than years past. I'm assuming.
Who's that? Sorry,
RJ Barrett's 3-point shooting this year. I'm assuming it's better this year than years past.
Oh, kind of.
If you analyze Kelsey, take a look. 3 points made in percentage for me when you get a chance.
For RJ?
Yeah, compared to this year to years past.
Okay, but I'll take a look at that. But right now he's if you round it up, it's about 36%.
Yeah.
I need to know what last year was. I never said he was a great 3-point shooter. I said it's better this year.
Yeah, this is probably the highest that he shot.
That was my only argument, that it's better this year than years past. So I'm saying he's improving on it, but it's still not good enough to be the our starting like shooting guard, like 2 guard, right? So that kind of fit doesn't really fit well. It doesn't fit well with us.
So Julian, he was 3-point. He was 32. Then at the Knicks, right? 40, 34, 31, 33. Then he jumped to Toronto, 39, 36.
Right. And this is all just eyeballing. I don't have stats. This is from me watching. And his free throws, as I said, is still struggling, which is kind of weird, man. Like, it's just weird, like how people can improve on a 3-point in game. I guess you're in game in the flow, but whatever. Yeah,
he's only shooting 65% from the.
Like, I watch it. I'm like, yo, how do you just hit 2 3 balls and go to the line and miss both free throws? It makes no sense to me. But anyhow, point is, I don't think I think it would be worth the experiment to try him out, the 2 guard with Ingram and things, see how it goes. But deep down, I don't think it's going to work, right? But he is expendable. He's an asset too, right? As I said, you can trade him and bring in another piece. And he may be even more expendable depending on who we select in the draft, right? Because whoever we select in the draft, if we get somebody in the top 5 pick, I'm going to assume they're going to start, right? Like whoever we select. Should we assume that? Or I don't know. But I'm assuming
if they don't start, it's not going to be right away. Like if they don't start, it's not going to be for long. Put it that way. Maybe at most half the season.
Exactly. If it's Bailey, even if it's Edgecombe, like I'm assuming, like you're going to give him not the keys, but you're going to give him the opportunity to run with it, to play. But the point is, like, that makes RJ more expendable as well too, because the top 5 picks are basically 2, 3 guard, 2, right? They're like 2 and 3, like small forward shooting guards, like Edgecombe and Bailey, right. I guess, right?
Yeah.
So somebody that's like Ingram is going to start.
Dylan Cooper.
Ingram and Barnes are going to start. So you're going to have to fit whoever we draft is going to have to fit at that 2 spot, basically. Like if we get in the top 4, I'm saying if we get in the top 4.
Well, unless it's Dylan, and then if it's Dylan Harper, I mean,
he's 2 guard. Isn't he like a point guard, 2 guard?
He's the point guard.
Yeah, he's a point guard, 2 guard, and then you got
more of a point guard though.
But him and Quickly have to start.
Yeah.
I have to start, and that works.
He's 6'6". He's 6'6".
Right. He can play the 2 or guard the 2 if we need to guard the 2. So he can. Whoever we get in the top 4 is going to have to play the 2, literally. Because Ingram and Barnes is not going nowhere, and they're starting. So that's
what about that?
That's what makes it more expendable, right?
Well, Bailey's like 6'10".
No, not Bailey. No, for the kid from Baylor.
Edgecombe. Edgecombe's about 6'5".
He's a 2 guard.
He's a two guard.
Yeah, two guard.
Yeah, he's
like
about
a weight
6'5".
type two guard. Only Bailey
And-
might be a tougher fit because we have already a 6'9" type of ball handling with Ingram and Barnes. That might be difficult, right? But we don't know what we're going to get. But again, my point is, if there's an available position to be filled, it's Barrett's.
But you know what it is with RJ though, like he's turned into the player that I thought he was basically going to be coming out of college.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say he's slightly been better than my projections because he's been more of an all-around player. I've been really impressed with his all-around play this year. He makes better decisions and shares the ball way more than he ever has.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. But to you guys' point again, like with that Ingram trade, it makes things a little bit interesting. You know what I mean? That's where I'm like, there's kind of like a logjam a little bit. I know what you guys are saying, where it's like guys play different positions, but it's like there's still a shooting issue. You know what I mean? You're gonna have to kind of solve that a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's this is where I'm like, and it's interesting because RJ is, and I'm not trying to advocate to trade him, but I'm like, but he's an attractive asset because his contract isn't crazy. You know what I mean? Especially towards where NBA standards are now. Because I think right now he has 2 years left at about $57 million, I think, combined, which isn't crazy. You know what I mean? Especially for a starting player that's averaging like 21, 6 and 6 a game. It's actually pretty good. And he's pretty durable for the most part. Yep. You know what I mean?
That?
No, RJ. I said it's like he's pretty durable. Did you guys find it crazy? I don't know if you guys noticed, but do you find it crazy that he's the highest scoring player in his draft class? Really? He recently scored got over 7,000 points for his career. Wow. Who would have predicted that coming out of that draft class in 2019 with Zion and John? Like that is crazy. He's leading it, and it's not close.
Wow. I mean, Ja was injured a lot, right? So
right, and then
and then Zion,
pew, pew, like that too, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
So it's like all that stuff is, but it's crazy to see that like he's probably been the most consistent player in terms of being on the court day in and day out.
Yeah,
not even close. Like it's not even close.
Now you say that, see, I agree.
Yeah, I think we all agree we're not looking to trade him due to lack of production or lack of development. It's nothing to do with that. He's had a great year. It's just the fit in our team in terms of the pieces that we have currently and what it looks to be like going forward. It just doesn't fit right now. Right.
It sucks because I really like him and I want him to be on this team and I enjoy watching him play. Right. I think his saving grace with staying with the Raptors is him developing a three.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If he could do that, it's just a little bit more consistent. If he can get closer to 40%, that could help us out a lot, right? Because he can't guard it too. He has all those intangibles, but again, like you said it, like we don't have any shooting in this type of league. It's like even though we have the players to really be good at transition, I don't feel like we have that type of offense instilled or installed. Like I don't think that's Darko's game yet, right? Like we don't have that fast pace go like what I would think with the type of players they have, right? Kind of like positionless basketball, like 1 to 4 can bring up the ball and go, right? 1 to 4 can rebound, right? 1 to 4 can defend 1 to 4, right? But anyway, I think that maybe that was just pie in the sky when we were testing it out, and it's not coming to fruition. But that's just what I'm seeing right now.
Well, right now we're just trying to tank, Brandon. We're just trying to tank. We ain't trying to
no limit soldiers
do whatever. We're trying to develop, get the players to the rookies, get some time on the floor,
right?
Grow,
right.
And we're trying to lose.
Play the computer simulator.
I'm all for losing. I'm all for that. I would, and I like the way I like maybe see this kind of segues into your next question, but I like watching this team play. I like what I see. Like I don't, even when they're losing, they're losing in a good way, right?
They play hard.
They are hard,
man.
the style has changed. You know, I'm not 100% sold on Darko, but I think he is what he is for now, right?
Yeah, I agree.
You know, it's a trust the process, and you know, I think he's the right coach for the trust the process.
Yep.
Yeah, we no limit soldiering right now, man. We riding that tank. This is what it's all about, man. We bringing it back to the 90s. Averex jackets, you know what I mean? No limit chains. This is what we try to do. We try to tank. We bringing it back, Randall. We bringing it back to the 90s. This is what we're doing right now.
I'm all for it.
All for it. Tim's in the summer, buddy.
Yeah, right. Tim's in the summer. That's what we doing. No limit chains. This is what we doing, man. You know what I'm saying? This is where we're at. So going forward now, before we wrap this up, I mean, when do you guys predict that we're going to start reaching back for the playoffs in a real way? Are we at 2 years away, 3 years? You think next year, depending on where we land in the draft and who we can grab on the off season? I know the free agent class is not strong next year.
You want my opinion? I think we're in the play-in for sure next year, without a question. And I think we are in the playoffs. Like we're going to make the playoffs and be a first round knockout. That's my play. Like if we are healthy with this core, with a good pick, additional pieces in the summer, to me, we match up well. Look at Philly, man. Like we match up with every team right now. Like not match up and winning every game, every matchup, but we match up well in the East, right? Yeah. I think with Ingram and Barnes, we match up. Even I'm not saying we're better than Boston, but we match up with Boston now in terms of Brown and Tatum, and we have Ingram and Barnes, right? So I think we match up well, and I think if our players continue to mature, grow, we are in the playoffs next year. So the answer, we're in the playoffs next year.
You guys want to hear? You guys want to hear who the unrestricted free agent class is next year?
Yeah, let me hear the top. Give me the top three, top four first.
When the top of the list is Brook Lopez, you got to be
available for this offseason or the following offseason?
No, this summer.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Talking unrestricted free agents because there's player options too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys on that player option list that's probably going to re-sign, or at least sign that player option. LeBron James, $50 million. Kyrie Irving's probably picking up that option. So is James Harden. So is Julius Randle. You know, probably John Collins himself as well. But yeah, when that list starts with Brook Lopez, Miles Turner, Malcolm Brogdon, Capella, D'Angelo Russell. I mean, Naz Reid is probably going to get paid this summer.
Yeah, he will.
Chris Boucher, he's a free agent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not strong. It's not strong this year.
So your point is that whatever teams are right now, unless they make trades, they're going to be the same team next year, basically, because they're not bringing in no pieces to change their franchise. Is what you're saying, right?
I'm saying that. Yeah, I'm saying that the guys that you pick up for free agency is kind of to bolster your roster in terms of like filling holes, not necessarily taking you to the next level. You know what I mean? Like a lot of these guys are going to be bench role players. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, but I'm saying like in terms of Raptors making the playoffs, you're saying this is what we see in terms of the landscape right now in the Eastern Conference. Basically,
yeah, what I'm saying for the Raptors, they're probably going to lean on the draft this year and like lean from within more or less, unless they can pick up one of these guys in the off season. But I don't know.
No, we traded for Ingram. Like, that's our signing. That's our off-season signing. So we brought in Ingram, right?
Right. Exactly. That exactly.
Right, and then we're using a draft pick. So now the other teams in the East don't have anybody to really sign. Is what I thought you were getting at. So you're saying that they are who they are. Outside of they do trades and whatnot, that's different. But if they're not doing any trades, let's say they don't. There's nobody they're really picking up to change the landscape of the Eastern Conference. Nope. So it is what it is now. So I'm saying with Ingram and our draft pick, we will make playoffs because there's no other team going to make any. Philly ain't going nowhere. Let's be real. Like, Philly is not going anywhere. Detroit's looking good. Detroit's going to be better next year as Cunningham gets another year under his belt. But Cleveland's going to be there. Boston's going to be there. But the rest, am I missing a team that could potentially challenge the top four? No. Chicago, no.
Does anybody want Naz Reid?
I like Nasri. No, I do. I'm saying, like, does he?
He has a
He doesn't
player
fit
option.
with us right now. He doesn't fit.
He's probably gonna make the most on one of the biggest contracts this offseason.
Yeah. But he won't fit with us. Like, we don't need him. If Barnes is playing the 4, like, come on, we don't.
Yeah.
Need him. If
I mean, he is 25.
Yeah, he's young. He looks like an old young.
I know.
Yeah, he does. I thought he was older.
No, he's 25.
Wow.
He fits the timeline, but I mean, he's not as big. I thought he was like 6'11", but he's like 6'9" or something like that. So he's not as tall as.
No.
You know what I mean?
He's not a great defender either.
No.
Yeah. Hey, he's not coming here anyhow. He's not signing. No.
No.
Just sign here.
No, he's getting paid this summer.
Yeah.
He's getting paid. You know, like he's probably looking at like OG's contract. Like, thank you, OG.
Yeah.
Thank you for signing that last year.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if who's the better player, OG or not. They both are.
Well, I'm just saying he's within that range. He's within that
range. Yeah. OG doesn't really deserve. Like, no, I shouldn't say he doesn't deserve that money.
6th man of the year too. He's within that range.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
I agree.
He's within that range. Before we wrap up though, you know, I had a segment where I wanted to just to pick our 5 worst draft picks of all time, because we're so focused on the draft and, you know, the prospect of getting a great pick. But, you know, and the Raptors have done, when you look at the history of their picks, you know, in their 30 years that they've been with us, they've done pretty well, more or less. You know what I mean? But there's some shaky ones. Now, mind you, I was gonna have you guys look at the list, but then looking at this right now, really and truly, Rafael Arujo, Alex Radojevic, Michael Bradley, and Bruno are like the Mount Rushmore of those worst picks of all time for the Raptors.
Adrian Griffin.
Who's the 5th?
Adrian Griffin's in there too.
Ooh, we drafted Adrian Griffin?
I believe so in 95, didn't we?
Let me look at this list here.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
In 95, the 95 was Damon Stoudemire and Jimmy King.
Oh, Jimmy, yeah. No. I think we brought. Yeah, I don't know.
I think we brought Adrian Griffin. I don't think we drafted him.
Oh, okay. I thought
no. Yeah, Bradley.
Bradley for sure. Bradley.
Yeah, those 4 are the Mount Rushmore. I don't think you can even argue those 4.
Well, like, yeah. Bruno, you guys know I was kind of like, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah.
Well, do you throw Andre Bargnani in there?
Yeah, you could throw him in there.
I thought about him as a 5th person. I did. He did have some decent seasons though, but I did think about him. I don't know if I wouldn't put him in worst of all time though. That's where they like.
Yeah, fair enough. But like,
where he wasn't the number 1 option.
For a number 1 pick.
Yeah, it's more indifferent.
Yeah, fair enough.
More incomplete.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, that's it.
Yeah, but
Joey Graham
have drafted well.
No, Joey Graham wasn't like wasn't drafted that high.
Yeah, he's 16th. It's 16th, but I think that's the Mount Rushmore. I think making 5 might actually be too hard. You know, Charlie V was another one. You know, but
he was good his rookie year.
Yeah, he was solid.
Yeah,
he definitely was solid. Ed Davis,
solid role player.
Was solid. You know, DeLon Wright, solid role player, still in the league.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, for where we drafted them, they're solid.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, it's hard to say, but I think those 4 are like Mount Rushmore. Like the Arujo pick. I mean, we've talked about that. That's like one of the atrocious picks I think in NBA history. That was such a bad one. But Radojevic, I actually forgot about Radojevic. That was pretty bad too.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
That was
Yeah,
bad.
that
my gosh.
Oh man, yeah.
Because he was a 12th pick.
Yeah, that's up there. Yeah. Oh boy.
And the Michael Bradley one is overrated. I think I've mentioned this in previous pods before, but it's underrated. Sorry, because I still remember watching some NBA show, some old show that was on Raptors NBA TV, whatever, and I still remember they're in the war room talking about him and Tony Parker. I still remember that to this day. And they were like, you know what? I like Tony Parker, but we're gonna go with Brad. We're gonna go for the short thing. We're gonna go for Bradley. He's a short thing.
That's hilarious.
So seeing that, I'm like, just that alone, I'm like I liked him in Villanova, but come on, man, like that. And not to say we knew what Tony Parker was gonna be, but my God, that was beyond awful.
Yeah, hilarious. Actually, in hindsight, when you look at it now.
Oh my God, that was atrocious and ugly.
He was in the war room, right? So or in the green room. Sorry. So what when it dropped to us, back then it was always like a toss up on how bad we could screw it up.
Yeah. No,
I'm surprised we got Vince.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Even though that was a trade for Antoine Jameson, but still, I mean, that was one of the best. That might be the best pick. You know what I mean? Like that was awesome.
Scotty's up there.
Yeah,
DeMar, Scotty,
my boy DeMar. What the hell are we talking about, fellas? DeMar got to be up there. What are we talking about?
Bosch is a good one too.
Bosch was a good one.
Bosch is a good one.
But he was a high pick too. He's not.
Yeah.
Right?
He was a high pick. Morris Peterson, Moped, he was solid.
Siakam was a good pick.
Siakam was
21.
a very good pick.
21. I think it was 21.
Both him and Poto were solid.
Same draft.
Oh,
yeah, same draft.
Yep, same draft, man.
Same draft. Both of those picks were solid. Very much so.
I'm telling you, if you make the right pick, it can change your franchise.
Yeah.
Right, and that's why it's important for this year, man. Because the top 6 picks could change your franchise. Top 5 picks.
Top 5.
If we can get there,
it drops roughly after 6 or so. But I mean, there's a lot of good players in the draft, though. But there is.
There's a lot of players that will carve out a solid rotation and would be eventually starters.
I like that Will Riley kid for Illinois, the Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he came down to earth a little bit though, but
I
like him.
Yeah, he's projected to top 20, like to be drafted at least.
He's starting to fall a little bit in these. Again, it's mock drafts though, but like last I checked, he was in the 20 to 25 range.
Yeah.
But he's also a clutch client, so I don't expect him to be in college. I don't expect him to be in Illinois for a second season.
There you go.
He's out of clutch.
Yeah. So he's as good as gone. He's as good as gone. But it's funny to wrap up though. What do you guys think of this whole LeBron Stephen A. Smith thing that happened the other day? Speaking of clutch,
Stephen A. is a dink. LeBron is no better, man. They're both freaking frack. I'm not a LeBron fan. I don't anyway. LeBron's an idiot, but like Stephen A. said, he didn't look at it like a player. He looked at it like a pop. He's like, that was a daddy.
Yeah.
Daddy sticking up for his
highlighted that.
You know what, man? Bron gotta chill out, man. Because really, at the end of the day, he pushed to get his son in the league. We all said right. We all kind of were like, we understand the situation. It was honorable from his perspective to see, candidly, a black person utilize that move. Because in a corporate environment, we don't see much of that.
No, and that move agreed.
Right?
Agreed.
So it was good in that perspective to see the power that LeBron can wield to make that happen. Now he's here. He has to deal with the circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He's not at a league level yet. Or maybe he'll never be.
Yeah, most second round picks are not, to be honest with you. Most second round picks are not.
He shouldn't even been a second round pick, right? But that's beyond regardless. Regardless, he's won. He's not a league type player. So if the criticism he gets, it's warranted. Yep. Because if there was another player that wasn't a son and he was playing, people like, what the hell is this guy doing on the sideline? He sucks.
Right. No.
Just happens to have James as his last name.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
And honestly, and we're talking about this in the chat today, but I'm like, you can't have the position of drafting or forcing this kid into the draft, and then he's free of criticism at the same time. Like it's a unique role of being a father. I get that, of a father of another player in the NBA, but he's an NBA player.
Yeah.
He's warrant for criticism, especially when all the attention is on him. When he was getting more attention than Dalton Connect, and Dalton Connect is actually getting traded now, mind you, I know what it was for, but considering that he's getting way more attention than the actual first round pick who was like the SEC Player of the Year last year, I mean, it's warranted. It's gonna, you know what I mean, like, and it's warranted. Like, it's okay to have criticism. You're a professional athlete. LeBron's gotten criticism. Every player in the NBA has gotten some sort of criticism. We just made a Mount Rushmore of the worst Raptors of all time, at least the worst Raptor picks of all time. Like, this is the life you chose, man. Like, so I'm like, if that was what the argument was about, I'm like, wow, that's wild to me. You know what I mean?
Well, there's a little bit more. The other part to it too is that, like,
I'm like, there's got to be more than just that alone.
Well, they don't get along.
That just seems wild.
They're known not to get along, right? So that's part of it as well. So when you hear criticism that you don't want to hear come from someone you're not a fan of or you don't like, it is what it is, right?
Right.
He kind of pulled up on him. I was like, shut your mouth. You know,
and apparently pulled up on him between the third and fourth quarter. I thought that was after the game.
Oh, really?
Oh, it was?
Yeah, that's why I was like, I'm like, if that's the case, I'm like, God damn, really? Like, that to me, if that's the case, I'm like, wow, this is wow. That's more wild.
But you know, but like, as I was telling you in the chat though, when you're a parent, you just see red, right? And I'm not defending him at all because I already agreed with you. I think that he's fair game and all that. But when you're a parent, you don't think logically. It's just like when a mom sees a child in a danger, a father, like you just blank out a lot of times. That's why there's like all these parent brawls in hockey games I've seen and basketball games or whatever. But my point is, like, when you're emotional, like with your children, and you see either that they're being attacked or in danger, you go into like protection mode. Like, so that being said, I've been told that because I was on LeBron in my chats, and people were making that kind of defense for him. And I just said, well, it's still fair game. But they just said, if you were LeBron, you had the opportunity, right, to call him out right there, would you do it? And I said, personally, I'm not an emotional type of guy. I can self-regulate personally, but I know people that would probably utilize the opportunity to speak their mind. But I would have done it off the court, done it like, not make it such a public scene because
in the tunnel,
I'm LeBron James, right? Like I'm like I wouldn't do what T. Morant does, arguing with the refs, because I'm Morant's dad. I wouldn't want that attention or distraction from my son. That's just who I am, and I don't like that kind of attention. But that being said, I can understand when you're a parent and you want to just defend your child and you're not thinking rationally. And that's what they were trying to tell me. Like, see, you don't understand, like, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, whatever. I hear you, but I still wouldn't do it personally.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And, my brother's been criticized and called the N-word and again, like all that kind of stuff. I would like to go on social media and say, blah, 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 but I'm not doing that. But that's going to draw attention and stuff like that. So why would I do that? Right. So, but
if you had an opportunity, you'd probably wait in the tunnel, or
right, or do something in private. Like I don't want to make it a bigger scene, right, or more attention to it.
Which I'm sure I have done too.
I say that now, right? But you go to your son's game, random, your son's playing ball, and you see something, a cheap shot or undercut, or you might get emotional, or a ref, or something. You see parents going crazy at basketball games. You guys see it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because it's their child involved, right? So I'm not defending him, but that's what I was told. So I said, okay, fine.
Yeah, but you know what? But see, you know what the issue is with this is. He mentioned it earlier. If that happened in high school, bet. That happened in college, bet. These guys are professionals.
But you're always a parent.
Then you got to deal with the criticism.
I agree. No, I agree.
And I'm not. Listen, I'm indifferent. I don't care. To me, it's semantics. I don't really have a. I'm not a LeBron fan, and I'm damn sure not a Stephen A. fan. So to me, it's two dinks just dinking each other. right? Like, you know, like I look at them and I'm like, look at these guys, man. Like dummy 1 and dummy 2. You know,
Yeah.
like, so, you know, like
back them both up. Back them both up.
Pack it all up, man. Who cares? You know, like who gives a crap? Like, bro,
No.
what was LeBron really gonna do? LeBron's really gonna do anything? What's LeBron?
No,
if I was Stephen A. Smith, I'd have been like, you know what? Fuck you. What are you gonna do, Bron? Sue me? What are you gonna do? Punch me? Do it.
Yeah,
I would say, what are you gonna do? It's my job to report and to, like, he's exactly what he said. I didn't like the fact he tippy-toed around it and all that. He could have said, look, Bron, I'm sorry that's your son, but he's a player. He's gonna catch stray bullets just like you do.
You know the funny thing is, I did see the excerpt that was supposedly the issue LeBron had with Stephen A. Smith. And it wasn't really criticism of Bron, if this is what the piece. You know, it
Bronny, you mean?
Bronny. No, it wasn't really criticism of Bronny James. It was really more so a criticism of LeBron.
Yeah.
For putting him in that position. So if you watch it, he's really going at LeBron.
Oh, maybe that's what he had beef about. Maybe it was like, yo, don't talk about my son, don't talk about me.
But LeBron, I think, might have made it into it like, leave my son's name out your mouth kind of thing, right? Because
he's not going to do that.
He's not.
Like the
highest paid if
entity
you really listen
to it, right now.
I think he hit LeBron where it hurts, as if he's not a good parent, right? Like he wasn't doing the right thing. And you're putting him in a position to fail. Like he felt like that's how it sounded like to me, that he was attacking LeBron, not his son. But anyway, I thought that was the crux of it that made LeBron mad personally. Again, back to himself, not really his son. It's like, you're challenging me as a parent. Don't do that. Don't do that. Like, but he didn't say that. I don't know what he said, to be honest. But I know it was around Bronny James. But it sounded like his ego was hurt. LeBron's ego was hurt, that he was being criticized as being a bad parent. And everybody's always going to get defensive of that too, being a bad parent and your child. So those two things might have tweaked him that way. But I'm not defending him. I still think it's fair game. He should never acted that way, LeBron. It looks bad on him. Terrible.
Yeah, I mean, but then there's, like you said, there's going to be some that are, you know, empathetic or sympathetic to what, you know, for him and being a father. I'm not, but you know, at the end of the day, you know what, LeBron is untouchable. Mm-hmm. He creates this bubble around him, and where all these people have to be yes men. I agree with Stephen A. Right, like, but anyway, that's my opinion. Penny for my thought, guys, and I'm not that rich.
All right, well, we'll wrap it up on that note, but thank you guys for, you know, as always, every year that we do this is the 9th one, which is crazy.
Damn. 9th one, all right. That's
2017 was the first one we did. And I think we used to go 4 strong at the beginning because we used to have Headley on it, like another family member. Rest in peace to him, but we had him on it. But then I think it just became the 3 of us. But yeah, man, we carry on tradition, man. I appreciate y'all for helping to carry on that tradition.
No problem, man.
And we wrapped it up. I didn't realize we had this much gear. I like with Julian. I'm like, you know, this guy flipped the hat back. Don't want to show.
Well,
he's really thankful, man.
It's because can't you see a shade coming down? Like it's covering my eyes, right? So that's why I did it, right? Really.
Oh, you want the money maker? You want the money maker to show that? That's
you gotta see the smile. You know, you gotta see the light. Right. So, but no.
Nah, but I appreciate you guys, man, as always, for doing that, man. Appreciate y'all.
No, good. I'm glad we got it done tonight too.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. Raptors, man. Tank City, man. Let's go. Tank City.
It's gonna happen.
Need that.
It's about to go
down.
It better. I hope so.